What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Occupation Nation podcast. This is Season 1, Episode 8, and today on the show, we are talking again to Jimmy Oliver about what it means to be a detective. Now, this is Part 2, so if you haven't listened to Part 1, go check that out. Now, the way this one's a little different is I did ask Jimmy some more questions myself, but we were able to take fan questions as well, and you guys had so many great questions for Jimmy. I mean, we look at the drug epidemic and what's going on with that. We also talk about some of the training that they do and about the negative stigma about police and how he's able to handle that in his job. So look forward to that in the second half of this episode. And I would also like to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters, Julie and Austin. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And also a quick shout out to our first sponsor of Occupation Nation, Sunny Sense. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And this is an entrepreneur doing her thing, trying her best, and making an amazing product. The stuff smells so good. And so you guys make sure to go check that out. So with all that done, let's get into the interview. Tell me what happens. Are you just sitting at your desk and then it lands on your desk? Or how does this work? When you don't have no idea, you don't have anything on your plate, okay, now go do this. What is that?
It comes different ways.
Okay.
Usually in investigations, we work Monday through Friday, like an 8 to 4 job. But we're on call. We're on call. Right now there's 4 of us, so we're on call for a week, once a month. And like today, I'm on call. I started on call last night. So it's just like right now. I could get a phone call.
And you're gone.
And I'm gone. I got, whatever they need. We have it that way. Also, we have it when the officers, if they don't need a detective at the time, they do a report and they put it in our door if it's a felony or something like that.
I remember you talking about that in Part 1.
And so we get them that way. Or it could just be sitting at the office, a call comes in for patrol. And
Gotcha. So is it usually a actual call to your cell phone? Or just a call in general, to the office?
Usually they'll call our cell phone.
Okay.
Or the deputies will if they need a detective. Or we monitor the radio when we're at work. So, take for instance, how long has it been? It ain't been that long ago, maybe a month or so ago. We heard a call go out of a burglary in progress, and it was on Anderson Hill.
Okay.
And the guy had a video cameras, and so it activated his phone. He sees people in his house, so he calls and he's like, "Hey, people are breaking in my house." So patrol's going up there, all the detectives are going, and we're all trying to take different routes. Like we got ones going up Verona Caney. I think I went up 431 to cut across, and then because I think we got a vehicle description because the way his cameras were set up, he could see the car. So we kind of had something we was looking for. And we knew by the time we got there, they'd be gone. We get there, and just so happened one of the deputies passed a car going back towards Lewisburg on Verona Caney Road. He whipped around, followed it, and he saw it turn in a driveway, but then it just disappeared. And but they had a shop. And he thought they pulled around the shop. So, he goes around the shop and it ain't there. Well, they pulled in the shop. Just so happened that we got there. He got there, asked for backup because most of us was farther away from him. So we got another couple of cars there. The guys were in the shop, which, of course, they come out, and one of them did. And
they're like, hey, what's wrong, man? Hey,
yeah,
what's going on?
Man, I just been here, doing this thing.
Yeah, just working on my car,
Yeah, and the deputies asked him, he's like, I know a car went in there, and he's just like, yeah, there's another guy in there. But he tried to play it off like
he didn't know.
Yeah,
what
this
happened.
is my house.
Oh, I got you.
These.
That's a smart move by him. Like this guy, he just drove in here. I don't.
He's like, I know these kids. They grew up with my son, and they just, pulled in here. I didn't know anything was going on. Well, of course, they took a safe out of the house, and the safe was in the back of the car, and all that, and
that'll do it.
So we end up having the one boy that's in there charging him. The other guy that lived there which he was an older guy. He was probably my age. The other two guys were probably closer to your age. And so we get a talking to him, and he want, I've been here, and so they got me, and which I knew the guy, and so he said, well, let me talk to Jimmy. So me and him sat there, and I'm like, look, dude,
not a best situation here.
And he ended up giving me a confession. But his thing was, I never did get out of the car. I mean, I told him this safe was here and there could be a lot of money in it because I used to work for this guy, and them two went in it and broke in the house. I mean, I just kind of drove them there and drove them back.
He's the wheelman.
Yeah, so he ended up getting charged too. But you have some cases like that where it just, it's just
everything falls into place right there in front of you.
Yeah, you're just lucky.
Yeah.
And through my career, I've had cases where they just kind of fall in your lap. I remember about years ago, probably when I first started, I hadn't been a deputy, but maybe 2 years, and I was having to work day shift, and I was riding around and used to back then. Sheriff Helton was a sheriff, Les Helton, and it was kind of on day shift. You come in about 9 o'clock in the morning. All the deputies and the sheriff. You go to breakfast somewhere together, and then you have the time till lunch. And usually you went to lunch together with the sheriff, and it was in that between I think it was before breakfast kind of time when it's kind of like you're killing time. And I thought, well, I'll go, and there used to be these chirp pits down towards Belfast. I thought, well, I'll go there, and I had the Tennessean. I thought, pull back in there at chirp pit, look at sports, before I go to breakfast, and just kind of chill out because I done got tired of riding, and pull back there, and there's like 3 guys, and they got their car back there, and the trunk's open. They're over here shooting guns and stuff, and I'm thinking, well, I'll check them, something to do, and so I go talk to them, and I remember looking in the back of the trunk of the car, and there's like a bunch of Yanni CDs, which these kids are, these people were like 19, 20. I'm thinking, they don't look really like somebody that listen to Yanni.
I don't even know what Yanni is.
It's some kind of singer that I don't even listen to. You have to Google it.
Oh, there you go.
And so, I'm looking at that. I'm thinking, that's kind of weird. And then I see some other things that just don't add up that these boys would have, which by that time when they'd come to me, I've, had them set the guns down and put them, where I can watch them. Had these over here, pad them down, and because I'm there by myself.
Right.
And one of them had a woman's class ring on his finger, like on his pinky. And so I was like, or maybe when I was patting him, he might have had it in his pocket. I'm not for sure. But anyway, I had the ring, and I remember it was like a Cornersville class ring, women's, and it was like 1976.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. And so I'm like looking at the ring, and I'm like, because things just started adding up. I'm thinking, I might have done a burglary somewhere. So I was like, whose ring is this? Where'd you get this ring? And he's like, it's my mom's or something like that. And I was like, okay. I said, well, what's your mom's name? Because the initials are in it. And I'm looking, and initials don't match up. And so finally, I think the detective, Norman Dalton, who was a detective then, he come up there to back me up, and we got looking. We found enough that we arrested them, and we was pretty much sure we had a burglary. And I think that maybe when Norman got there, they confessed that they broke in a house. And but we didn't have a victim because nobody's reported a burglary. And they didn't really know where they broke into. It was over towards Mooresville. And I remember we had them down there, and I guess Norman got statements and everything. We had them charged, and then it was on like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we get a phone call, hey, somebody's broke in my house. And there's a good feeling to say what was taken, and then they start telling you, and it's like...
It's all what you saw?
Yeah, we've got it solved, we got your stuff, Just stuff
That's
like
crazy.
that. Yeah,
Just
I mean,
like
things,
before the, yeah, that's crazy. So let's on the flip side of that, I want to hear about maybe something that wasn't in your lap. Maybe you get something where it's like, all right, this is a tough case.
probably there's a lot of tough ones because there's a lot of them that don't get solved.
Okay, that's what I assumed. That was like a more common thread, right? So when you say I've heard you say this a few times. When you say you have enough, what determines when you have enough?
Just what we're looking for is probable cause and stuff.
Okay,
Enough that we can get a conviction, or enough.
gotcha.
Not necessarily a conviction, enough that we can charge somebody, and once you get to court, things
Who knows
change.
what will happen? But so I guess like, are you the one that decides like if you hear something, you're like, okay, this is enough, or do you have to go to someone else, say this is what happened, and then they say, okay, you have enough?
Yeah, with us usually it's on us.
Okay.
Now, if we have a big case or something that could be big, we'll go to the DA and say, all right, look, this is what I got, and show them our case file, and then they'll tell us, yeah, I think you got enough.
Okay.
Or they'll say,
So that's why I was wondering. I didn't know if it was your call or if it was someone else. So it just kind of depends.
it boils down, it's our call.
Gotcha.
But usually we'll go to DA just to say, hey, what do you, because they're the ones going to prosecute this case. And, they can look at it, and it's kind of like looking at it from a different angle, because then they can say, well, have you done this? You're like, I hadn't even thought about doing that. Well, you need to maybe do this and this, and let's see where we're at.
Okay.
It's kind of like somebody looking from outside the box.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
So most time on a big case, we'll pass things through, or a lot of times even if it's small.
So what determines a big case or a small case?
It's just anytime you got anybody that's hurt, an aggravated assault, homicide, child sex abuse, things like that. You want to.
Those are considered big?
Yeah, it's. I guess every case is big to somebody.
I understand.
If you're the victim.
Right, I understand. But you got to.
But we prioritize, like.
Okay, that's a better word, probably.
Well, say if I've got if your house has been burglarized, and I'm working your burglary, and then I get a homicide, well, your burglary is going on the back burner.
Yeah.
Or if I get child sex abuse or something that's a crime against a person instead of crime against property.
It's not that the burglary doesn't matter. It's just that this other case,
I'm gonna have to handle
it's
it.
just a
it's more
higher,
serious.
it's a higher level.
And then I come back to your burglary, or because usually if we have a homicide or something, there's a good chance all the detectives will be involved, working on it at some angle. If it's my homicide, then I'll delegate. I may tell one of my detectives, hey, I need to talk to this person. Can you run them down? I need this here. I got this evidence. I need this run to the crime lab. And you do that, and I need to find this out. And I give each one a job. Now, like I'm a captain and I'm over detectives.
Right.
But say one of my detectives, Tony Nichols, he's on call. It's his homicide scene. Well, then I don't overrank him. I don't come in and say,
okay,
I'm the boss. I'm captain. This is what we're going to do it.
Okay.
Tony tells me
he's the boss if it's on him.
Yeah, at that crime scene, he's the man.
Yeah, he's running the show.
Yeah, and then I'm there. What do
You're
you
just
need?
like a helper.
Yeah, I want you to do this, and it's the same way with the sheriff, chief deputy. They're going to come in and assist. Nobody's going to take the crime scene over from the detective that has it unless they see something. Well,
Gotcha.
This detective,
like he ain't doing it right or whatever
because
the
we've
case.
got, like right now we got a young detective. He's been back there with us 6 months, 7 months. So if we had a big homicide, we're probably not going to give it to him. So here,
Which that makes sense, right?
and usually the way we'll do it, we all come together, you know, and I bounce out, you know, this is what I think. What do you think?
Which is smart.
And we try to work it as a team. So we'll bounce ideas, or you know, this is what I think, or you know, I think we need to do this.
I got you.
And we're fortunate enough that we get to work with the city of Lewisburg. They have 5 or 6 detectives, and so we got an agreement. If I got a big crime scene, homicide, I can call them to come in and help us also. So on any scene that's serious, we could have up to, you know, 10 detectives or something like that on it just in our county. And that helps a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. I want to learn more about, you say you question, like, okay, you got to go track these people down and you got to ask them questions. What are some of the ways you go about doing that? Do you just go up to them and say, hey, I need to ask you some questions? Or like when you find the person, how do you go about telling them, hey, I need to ask you stuff?
Yeah. Usually, you know, you want to be tactful about it. Because if I come in and just say, you know, Zach, I need to talk to you, then according to how I say it is how you're going to react. But if I come, hey, like Zach, hey, I'm working this case. You know, I got some information. Maybe you know something about it. You know, could we sit down and talk, or could you come by the office? You know, at your convenience, we'll talk. And a lot of it's according to how much evidence I got. Like if I got some evidence and it's pointing towards you, and maybe I've got a couple of witnesses that say, you know, I saw Zach do it. I saw him come out the back window. You know, he even sold me a stereo that come out of burglary. Then I'm going to nail you down more.
Gotcha.
I'm probably not going to be as nice. I'm not going to be mean, but I'm going to be like, you know, look, Zach, it's time for you to help yourself. Help me help you.
Yeah,
you know,
So when you actually get the person, like, start asking them questions, what are some of the ways you try to, how do you get them to, like, confess, I guess, or tell them about the story? What are some of the tactics you have to take?
Yeah.
You know, you have good cop, bad cop as the typical thing, but.
And it's just talking.
Okay.
According to how you talk to somebody, you know, and there's different words you don't use. You know, if you tell me something, you know, Jimmy, I wasn't in that house. You know, I don't want to say you're a liar, because when I do that, you just throw up a, you know, liar is a bad word. But if I say, you know, look, Zach, I don't feel like you're telling me the truth. You know, we need to be honest. And
what are some of the times when you have to push? When you gotta, what are some of the way, like, just a general example of maybe someone ain't talking.
Yeah.
So
if I can get enough on them, then I'll be more louder. I'll be more, I don't know if you'd say confrontational, but I'll
just more aggressive a little.
And a lot of it's body language. I'm looking at body language, how your body's reacting. You know, if your arms are crossed, that's a defensive mechanism. I'm going to try to talk to you enough to get them arms uncrossed and get you more open. And as I'm talking to you, I'm looking for signs. You know, if you drop your head, I hit something, you just kind of put your head down, then I know I'm getting close, because it's going through your head now. Because when somebody does something wrong or lies, it weighs a lot on them, and they want to get that pressure off of them also. I've watched videos where, you know, a guy's killed his whole family, and you know, and they have him in the interview room and they're talking to him, and you know, he's kind of amped up, and he confesses, and they leave the room, and you know, they're gone for 15, 20 minutes, come back in, he's sound asleep. You know, he hadn't been able to sleep good for maybe a couple of days, just because all that's on him. Now he's let that out. You know,
now he's just like,
yeah. I mean, it's just like a relief, and he just kind of crashes. But you know, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm looking for body language. You know, I want to talk to him, and I'm not going to be hateful or mean to them unless they are to me. I've had some interviews where, you know, I'm sitting there talking to them, and they jump up and they're cussing me, and you know, and I get stern with them. You know, you sit down, you're gonna listen, and usually I won't give them time enough to answer my questions a lot of time. Like I'll go through stuff and just keep, this is what I know. And then when I say, yeah, but no, let me talk. Let me talk. When I get through, I'm going to let you talk. And then I'll more or less show them this is what I got. You can either tell me, and then that's something I can go back to tell the DA or whoever that, hey, they did make it hard on me. They wanted to cooperate, whatever. And it looks better on them a lot of times in court too, that, they wasn't lying or whatever.
We just want to take a little break and let you know that coming up next is the fan question and answer. Thanks for tuning in to Occupation Nation. What's one of the scariest moments you've experienced?
I don't know. It's hard. I mean, I've had scary moments of the unknown. I guess that's the most scariest part. Like, you end up going to a call, domestic or something. You're by yourself. Back when I started, like now we have night shift. I think there's 4 deputies on nights. Back when I started, there was 2 of us. And if I had a domestic, if I was working this end of the county, and the south end deputy was way south, you handled it by yourself. And, you didn't have any backup. Or it was going to be a good 15, 20, 30 minutes before you did have somebody to help you. I think that helps deputies learn how to talk, or back then it did, because you're by yourself. And probably stuff like that. No, when I got shot, that never, I didn't get scared on it, which, you would think. I went in that situation, I'd get scared, but I never did get scared. I mean, it was just...
It just happened so fast?
Yeah, I think it was just... Everything was so quick. I didn't think. I mean, I didn't think.
There wasn't like this hype up, like time. It was all just like boom, 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 and then all that happened.
I just went, and I didn't think of an outcome. I didn't think, I could get hurt or...
Yeah. You were just doing what you thought you should be doing, right?
But there's been different, and there's been a lot of times I've been scared of my job. But you overcome that, and I guess with a job, you're going to be scared, and it's smart to be scared. If you're not scared, something's wrong.
Right.
And you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Because, on different things, if you kind of get that feeling, and, it makes you more cautious of stuff around you, I think. Heightens your senses.
I was about to say, it's that like sixth sense where you're like, all right, something's up here.
Right. And I think probably everybody in law it's like anything else. Have I ever been so scared I couldn't do anything? No, but it's no different than you're sitting here watching TV and you hear a loud noise outside at midnight and you're thinking, what's that?
Yeah,
And your heart's kind of racing.
Well, I can't. I can't. And you're in your house at that point. I can't imagine being out somewhere you've never been and then just like something like that happening. So, all right, next question we have. What are some of your hobbies? What are some of the things you do outside of work? And then what are some of the ways you like decompress after like such a stressful situation?
I guess my hobbies would be my kids, which I only got one home now, Spence, and baseball. Me and Becky really enjoy baseball. Do that a lot. As far as any real hobbies, I don't really have any. I mean, I used to hunt all the time. The kids, and once they got big enough to hunt, I'd go hunting with them some. Now it's done got to the point where it's like, I can get up at 4 a.m.
I'm just gonna sleep in today.
But I guess my hobby's just being with Becky. I enjoy being my wife, whether we're watching TV or if she wants to go shopping or going out to eat. Just being with family. Now that my 2 older they're going away to college. Bryce, which he'll come home every other weekend or something like that. He ain't far away, but Savannah's in Knoxville, and so seeing her. I think she went in August of last year, and I think she's been home twice because her schedule's real busy, and so you don't see her as much. But just my hobbies, is just
center around your family.
when we
I
get
got you.
around, when we can all get together, because Christmas is about the only time, and it's kind of, that would be my hobby. It's probably my family, doing stuff with them.
And it seems like a good way to take your mind off work and just relax a little, just being with them.
And I try not to associate work with home. I mean, when I
Right.
get home, there's cases I think about, or that'll come, things will come to me, like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. But I try to, when I get home, I'm done. But then being in my position, I mean, a lot of people know me, so I'll have people call me, or they'll message me on Facebook or something, or to ask for advice, or for having problems here or there. And I always call people and answer them, and because if I was looking for help from law enforcement, or needing to know something, I would, I'd want somebody to answer my call.
Right.
So
I got you. It'd be hard to just cut it off. Just like, no, I can't do that. Just like you said, where you are. So, what is the most satisfying arrest you've ever made, where you were just like, got him?
probably I've had several, and usually it's been because of either child sex abuse or anything to do with the child. I just
When you get them,
when I can get them, because a lot of times we'll have I'd say a child sex abuse case. Well, it may have happened 5 years ago, and it's just now coming out because the child's gotten older. And for 5 years it's been bothering that child, but they hadn't told nobody. And then they end up telling their parents, or they tell their preacher, or school guidance counselor. And so I get a case and there's no evidence because it's been so long ago. But then when you can get a confession or a conviction on that, I've had several that's been years in the making. I remember I had one, and the girl, at the time she was 10 or 11, and I think it was her uncle, and he was like 21. And,
wow.
Well, the time we got it to us, she was like, I think she's like 15, 16. And I remember I run the uncle down, found him, got a question, which he denied it. And, but I knew because she was giving too many details for that long ago. But he just kind of disappeared. I remember Eddie Bernard was our DA, and I'm like, look, I got this case. I know the guy done it, just the way he's acting. He's, I've been trying to get him to come to the office so we can sit down and talk. He won't do it. And I remember Eddie said, well, come on, we'll go out to his house. And so he got in the car, him got in the car, went out there. Well, he'd moved. Nothing was there. Everything was gone. I was like, couldn't find him. And it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in circuit court. We had a court case. And the drug task force, some of our drug guys were there, was just, talking. I was like, man, I've been looking for this guy. I wish I knew where I could find him. And one of them was like, we got warrants on him. We've done some buys off him. You want him? I was like, yeah. He goes, we can get him.
Oh, all
And
right.
so as soon as court was over with, we all piled up and got him. And so we arrested him on the drug charges. So then I had him at my house. And then I started talking to him and,
Getting down to it.
And he ended up, his confession was, well, she come on to me. And I was like, hey, I don't blame you. You're a man,
Yeah.
And, what
But
all
still.
happened? And, I I went along with him. It was her fault.
Oh, I got
But
you.
that gave him my confession.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think he got 20 some odd years in the penitentiary.
Smart move, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Whenever you can,
kind of try to make them relate to you and make them feel more comfortable. They're going to start.
because I'm gonna, if you've molested a child or done anything like that. And I'm not going to tell you, because that's what everybody looks at. Oh, you're an animal, you're sick, you're perverted. Well, if I'm looking at you on something like that, I'm not going to tell you, you're sick, you're perverted. If nothing else, I'm saying I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw her. I mean, she's a cute girl.
And then when you say that, they're like, oh, well, maybe he's thinking that way too, and nobody's gonna know, so I'm gonna tell him a little more.
Or, I think I had one. It was a child abuse case. As a child, she wasn't big enough to talk. She was probably about 2, maybe a little under 2. But I got called out, and the mother and father wasn't married, wasn't even together anymore. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, had a child, and he had the child for the weekend, and woke up crying. They ended up taking it to Williamson County to the hospital, and which law enforcement there got called because the child had bruising on its face. And then they transferred the child to Vanderbilt. And so once Franklin Police Department was there, they found out that it happened in Marshall County, so I get called. So I take off to Vanderbilt, in which, like my car, I don't have a cage in it. It ain't like a police car. But I get up there, and the daddy who done it is there. He's a concerned parent. The mother was there, and the baby looked a whole lot worse than what it was. I mean, its face was all bruised up, and you can tell that handprints done started coming out. And so I knew somebody had struck that child. And he'd been with her, or been with the father. So I got through taking pictures of the child, and I come out and called a nurse or a doctor or something. I said, I need to talk to the daddy. And so they put me in a conference room. Said, here, you can come in here. Nobody bother you. And just got talking to him, and I'm like, well, what do you think happened to her? And he's like, I was in the garage, and I was washing the car and waxing it. I think some of them chemicals, maybe it irritated her, and I was like, okay. And he said she was crying. I laid her down for a nap, and I laid down to take a nap. She kept waking up crying, so I put her in the bed with me, and I've got this sleeping problem where I fling my arms when I sleep. I must have accidentally hit her, and I didn't even know it. And which I'm thinking, she's got a hand mark here, and after a little bit of time, I mean, you can tell the hand marks because you just the fingers. And so I was like, no. So I ended up charging him. But usually, if I'm out on the street somewhere, I'll call a deputy. Hey, I got one.
Gotcha.
Take him to jail for me. Well, I'm all the way up in Nashville, so I can't call a deputy. And so I guess I was so mad about it. I thought, hey, he's going to jail tonight in my car. So, I cuffed him right there in the hospital and told him, so I'm charging you with child abuse, and put him in my car. And he was handcuffed behind. I put the seatbelt on him, and I knew he was going to have to go down I-65. I didn't know what his state of the mind, frame was going to be. So I got my taser out, and I laid it beside me, and I said, you stay on that side and act right. And I said, because if not, I'll tase you while we're going down the interstate. I said, he's like, oh, I'm going to give you no problem. And he didn't. And we ended up convicting him on the child abuse and stuff. But anything to do with kids, I mean.
When you get them, you're just like, yes.
It's, I guess it's kind of personal.
Right.
Because you don't never know whose kid's going to be. And a lot of times the kids are not believed. You come to find out maybe they told their parents, cousin Billy done this to me. Well, I'll keep you away from cousin Billy. But, it eats at kids. And then when it eventually does come out and we can do something about it, or we can get a conviction on it. To me, that's
a big win.
Yeah, I really like that.
All right. So we're getting some questions here. So next one, I think this is a pretty interesting question. So what this person's asking is, how do you feel about this negative idea about police, and like, how do you deal with knowing that you're going to have to deal with the media at some point? Is it you dealing with the media directly, or is it someone else? Or
I've had dealt with the media. Usually I try to pass that along.
Yeah.
Because if they call me, I'm like, you got to talk to the sheriff.
yeah,
You got to talk
right.
to chief deputy. Here in the last few years, police have got a bad rap. And I know it's like just anywhere else. I mean, there's good apples, there's bad apples. I've been fortunate enough in my career. I worked with some really good guys. There's been one or two that I didn't think was, that great. But it's hard because we kind of, the worst professions to have is being a police officer, a preacher, or a teacher. Because any three of those professions do something wrong, you're right on.
It's
on
like
the news.
It's a bullseye on your back, right?
You see a police officer gets DUI. I mean, it's plastered all over the news.
Right. Because the natural way is to hold you to a higher standard. You're like, you're going to try to charge me or whatever, then you should do that, right? So does that make it hard for you to do your job, or do you just kind of do what you can and know that's a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I do my job. It's part of it. Our community, we've been fortunate enough. It ain't like St. Louis or some of those where they've had rioting or this or that. I mean, I follow all that stuff. Officer involved shootings, where people are questioning it. And I always wonder, the media leaves out a whole lot. It's like the whole, in St. Louis and all that, where the officer shot him. Well, it kind of left out that he'd robbed a guy at a store just before then, and that the guy was like 6'4" or whatever. The police officer stopped him. He come and tried to reach in his car and take his gun. I think hit him. All of that was left out.
Right.
Then it shows some social media, and he's holding guns and gang signs.
Right.
But the media put, he was just a perfect person.
Yeah,
and,
you do see a lot of that where they'll interview these people and they're like, he's just the best boy and he's a good person. So when in working around here, do you have to deal with that as much?
No, I mean, you have people out there that don't like the police,
right?
And they're going to try to push your buttons. You're going to have some that's going to fight. We have that, and that's.
Would you say that is just a part of the job that you're in?
Oh yeah, that's
just a part of it.
It's part of law enforcement. I mean, you're going to get in scrapes. It would be nice if everybody you arrested, just said you're under arrest, and they're like, gosh, you got me.
Yeah, right.
And go to jail.
Right.
But you're going to have some that they're going to fight you. They don't want to go to jail. Try to get away with. So it's part of it. I mean, you're going to get in your scuffles. People's going to get away. I've had a couple get away, and I've had my hands on them. And end up all I've got's a jacket. They run off.
Yeah.
But the majority of police are good, and they're there for for your protection. We've got a bad job. I mean, what we see 90% of the times the worst in people. It's like a teacher. At least they're going to have one or two bad students in a class, but overall they're going to have good students. Students that they're proud of. And it's like her. I mean, when she sees her students doing well that she's had, she's tickled to death proud. Me, when I see my victims doing well, that makes me feel better, or that they're getting the help they need, or whatever, and getting past that bad point in their life. But most time, people we deal with, it's at their worst moment, whether they come home and their house has been burglarized they're upset, they're mad about it, but then they've got 2 kids that's young. Now they're terrified, somebody's been in my house, I can't sleep. What if they come back? And, you know, so you get to see the worst in people in our job. That's the only bad. There's some good points. You get to see some good stuff, but probably see more bad than you see good.
Was there any time that you thought that maybe the job is not for you, where you're like, no, this ain't for me?
No, when I started the job, it's like I never did. We was talking about this before. I didn't grow up wanting to be a policeman. I was 24, I think, when I started, and it was just kind of hey, I see a policeman. I met him. I know him. Seemed like a cool guy. It's a pretty cool job. Maybe I'd like to do it. I've never had it where I'm like, man, I should have done it. I don't like this. I've always enjoyed it. There has been times where,
it's a little harder.
Yeah. When a lot of stuff gets piled up on you, it's like any other job. But throughout my career, I mean,
you've never hit this breaking point where you're like, all right, this is not for me.
Yeah, because I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
Okay.
If I could go back in time, I would have tried to get in law enforcement earlier. When I was 21 or something. It's been a rewarding career for me. I mean, I love my job. Something different every day. Even I can make it different every day. I don't have to go in and sit in my office or do paperwork. If I feel like, hey, I just want to get out and get some air, ride around. I've got the whole county I can just ride around in.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I don't got to be anywhere.
And you're still working at that point because you're still out and about and you're doing your thing, but it's just a change of scenery.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So, to me, it's the best job. I'm not stuck in a factory. I'm not stuck in a classroom.
Yeah, for sure. You're not in a cube all day.
Yeah.
Just
construction, if you're out building houses and it gets cold, then you're going to be cold. If I'm out and about and I get cold, I can get in my car or I can go to my office or, you can make what you want of it. I mean, when I first started and I worked nights and stuff, if you really want to get out and hustle, you can find people to stop. You can find, tail light out or find DUIs, and you can make yourself as busy as you want to make it. If you're tired one night, well, I think I'm just going to patrol. I'm not going to get out and just hunt. You can patrol and just ride around and be seen and kind of, look at houses. Because usually once you work a zone and you ride an area, you familiarize yourself a lot of times with cars or things that are there. So if you say something out of, shouldn't be there, then it, you notice that's like me, like Tanya and Scott Leonard did live over by us. And I remember every morning I'd come out and I kind of look at the houses because I know several people live by us. But I remember seeing a car over at Tanya and Scott's. Never seen that car before. Tanya and Scott wasn't at home, so I'm calling Tanya and saying, "Hey, there's a this car at your house," and I think it was her sister or something.
Oh, okay.
But
you're still just you're looking, you're being observant.
Because I kind of know, especially on my route to work,
right, what's normally there and what the normal situation
and if
is.
I know the people like Tanya, or
especially then, right? So. This is a pretty interesting question. Have you ever wanted to relocate to somewhere maybe more urban where there's more criminal activity? Or have you always been kind of happy with being in the rural area?
I've always liked our county. I've had opportunities to go years ago to go to Williamson County, places like that, or Franklin Police Department. And I tried to work, the pros and cons, them are some bigger departments, probably better pay, better benefits, but then I've got to travel there. And I moved to Marshall County in 1990 when me and Becky got married. And I've always just love Marshall County. And I've never wanted to go to Murray County or, I guess I was comfortable in Marshall County. I know people.
I got you. So you would say it's not really about the rural and urban. It's more of just being comfortable in where you are.
Yeah, I think it's.
I got you. You don't see yourself wanting more to move somewhere. Like, man, I wish I was in Chicago where it's just crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that ain't for you, right?
Yeah. The only way, I guess, possibly if I could do it over, I wouldn't mind started my career in New York or Chicago.
And then coming here?
No, I'd be retired by now.
Oh.
You do 20 years and you're out.
I got you.
Get full pension.
There you go, yeah.
But
those 20 years, though.
Yeah, which I've never, I don't know. I wouldn't want to go anywhere where it's more crime.
I got you.
Maybe when I was younger.
But at this point in your life, you're
Yeah,
like,
now it's kind of like, if Marshall County, nobody ever broke another law or no burglaries, and that's fine with me. But back when I was younger, I was like any young officer.
You're
I mean,
ready
you want
to get out there and
get in
get 'em.
stuff and do this and do that. And that's just like our county. I mean, we have enough crime, for
Keep
us.
y'all busy.
Yeah, I've got friends that work Metro and stuff, and and theirs is just like us. You go take a report, you come back to the office, you can write out the report and do whatever you got to do. Where a lot of them in Metro, they got the computers in their car, and a lot of times before they ever leave the scene, they got to do the report, because if not, as soon as they go 10-8, they're on another call. And, next thing you know, there's 6, reports behind.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
they got to be done before they leave. So, I mean, it'd make the day go, because the busier you are, the faster time goes. But
more work you do, right?
Yeah, I'd hate to, just
get it piled onto you.
Just never get a break.
Yeah.
When I got into it, it's, I guess, more or less the same now. As far as your physically fitness, it's pretty much up to you. You have to pass a physical fitness test through the academy.
Just like a physical or an actual? Okay.
And doing all that. Some departments, they have yearly, where you got to do running so much time and do this and do that. By looking at me, you can tell we don't have that.
Yeah.
But, you'd go through the academy. I think we touched on this last time. It's like 12 weeks. Now, when I went through, it was 8 weeks. You go through the academy. Now, if you're in a bigger department, Memphis, Nashville, I'm not sure Chattanooga's got their own. Knoxville, I think, have their own academies, because their department's so big. But anybody else will go through Donaldson. There's a couple other places that you can go and pay yourself. Donaldson, where I went, you have to be law enforcement. The law enforcement department has to send you there. Or if you're in college, like a criminal justice major, I think your professor or a guidance counselor, whoever, can get you in the academy as part of your class. But you have to go through our academy. There's some private academies you can pay your own way through, and then the department can pick you up. But you have to do that.
So, like, in terms of not physical stuff, did you do all your firearm training and stuff there as well?
Well, when you go through the academy, you got to
you hit all those points.
Yeah, you got a week of firearms, and you got to pass a written exam and a shooting exam, driving. You do that for a week, and you got a driving course you got to pass in so much time. At the academy, you have, I think we would come in on Sunday, and that Sunday when you got there, whatever you had the week before, you had to test on it. If you failed, they posted your scores.
So everybody knew what you got.
Well, it was like your last 4 digits of your Social Security or something, so you had to go look. And,
you're like, Jimmy, what'd you get? Yeah.
But if you failed, you had to retake it, and then the 2 combined scores had to be a passing score.
Oh, gotcha.
If you made like a 60 and Then the second time he took it, you made a 70 and passed. You come to 65, you fail. And I think if you failed 2 tests, you got sent home. It's just you're done. So you had to pass a test every week to stay there. And same thing with the driving. You had a driving course you had to go through. If you fail it, you have to come back in the next academy and retake it that week. If you fail it again, you're done. The same thing with farms. If you failed your farms qualification, the next academy, you had to come back that week for farms. And, if you failed it, you're out. But then after you get out of the academy, we still have to do, all law enforcement has to do 40 hours, at least 40 hours of in-service. And it can range from going to a criminal investigator school, interview interrogation, self-defense. And then there's a bunch just general, it touches on a little bit of everything. But you got to have, out of that 40 hours, I think 8 hours has got to be farms training, where you're in the classroom and then you're on the range. The driving, there's only like I want to say hour or 2 hour training session. Mentally ill, you got to have like an hour of it. I think child sex abuse is so many hours. Then you end up having like 24 hours where it can be whatever you want to find.
So is there any training on, this is another question here, is there any type of training on de-escalation, like
Yes.
calming people down? Is that one of the things you hit?
That's part of the mental illness part.
Okay.
Is how to deal with somebody that's mentally ill or mentally unstable.
Gotcha.
And then and a lot of these are specialized schools too. It's conflict intervention, something like that.
And they specifically look into de-escalation and calming them down and not making sure things get out of hand.
Right, because I know Murfreesboro's having one this year, because that's why I was thinking about going to in-service on something like that. Because I got a list of all their in-services they're doing this year, and that one kind of caught my attention. I thought, well, it might be something, I'd like to do to, because somebody that's mentally unstable, you don't know what they're going to do. If you can ever talk them down, I've got to see it out in, all the time. Law enforcement, you're dealing with some unstable people, some mentally unstable people, that's either off their meds or whatever, and just making sure they don't hurt us or we don't hurt them.
Yeah.
Because they come running out with a knife, then they end up getting shot. Well, then it comes out, that was my son, and he was mentally handicapped. He didn't know what he was doing. Well, law enforcement, we got to protect ourselves,
Right.
as well as protect the public. And a lot of times we don't know. We don't know what his intentions are, or, and it's easy on a lot of those to, sit back and quarterback it. Well, you should have done this, or you should have done that. Well, you got split-second decisions.
Right.
And we're not trained. We're trained if there's aggression comes towards us, we're trained to stop it.
Gotcha.
And, and it's according to what it is. We got different levels that we use, but you can go from, say, level 1 where, I'm hands-on to where I'm trying to take your life or having to take your life or whatever. And it can just change, and it's always different.
Right.
I mean, like me, I'm kind of a big guy, so, if I have a woman that's 5'1", 100 pounds, and she comes and attacks me, with her fist, I can go hands-on and subdue her.
All right, yeah.
But if you shoot her, it ain't going to look good.
Right, exactly.
But then again, if you have a guy my size, and we have an officer that, say, she's 100 pounds, and he comes attacks her.
It's the reverse of that.
Right. I mean, she could shoot him and be justified in it. Just, a lot
It's
of
all
that's what you gotta look for.
situational, this person, that person. It's all different, right?
Yeah.
Here's one. After you got shot, were you afraid to go back on call? Was it sitting on the back of your head like, oh man, that's too scary, or were you ready to get back?
I was, so I got shot on a Monday. I was ready to go back to work on Tuesday or Wednesday. It never did, I
Because you see like these athletes, they'll like tear their ACL or something, and then they're like, always kind of favoring that. I didn't know if that kind of affected you in any way.
no, I mean, I probably in the back of my head, I guess I worried, I thought, well, when next time I get in a kind of a volatile situation, how am I going to act? I mean, am I going to not act like I usually would?
Mm-hmm.
So I had that, but I never did think, no, I'm not going back, because I had to, so it's happened in March. I think I went back in the 1st of June, into May, 1st of June. And, I mean, I couldn't wait to go, I just, which I was going down there, at least once, twice a week. I'd be sitting at home, nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I would drive and usually meet up with my other detectives, go to lunch with them. Or
So did you have to leave? Were they like, Jimmy, you got to go home? Like you can't come to work? Is that how it was? Or was it like you just had to because of like your health?
Yeah. Well, because where I got shot, I had to be off till the doctor released me for that.
Okay.
But also with our any officer involved shooting, TBI investigates, and whether it's a good shoot or bad shoot, they investigate it, and then they got to take their findings to the grand jury, and that's what took so long. They didn't get there. I don't think they got to go to the grand jury till June. Well, we can't come back until they get to the grand jury. So I mean, I could have come back. March, April. I think I could have. Doctor released me, I think, in April, something like that. So I mean, I was good to go back, but I couldn't until TBI.
Gotcha.
And all that cleared it.
Gotcha.
And so before they get to the grand jury, it was in June or whatever, and so it's just sitting at home, waiting, and but
Just
I mean,
itching. So bottom line is you were itching to get back.
yeah, I mean, like shooting. The doctors told me I couldn't shoot for till I got released. I didn't need to shoot a gun or use that hand. And so I was itching, to hurry up and get released just to get out in the yard and, shoot 50 rounds or 100 rounds, just,
Just make sure
you're
on it. Yeah.
Just to shoot.
Yeah.
And
cool.
so
Here's a kind of a deeper question. So in your opinion, this is gonna get crazy. Is the drug use epidemic more of a criminal issue or a mental health issue?
Drug use. Well,
And what measures do you think we could take to reduce like overdoses? I don't know if that's your expertise, but
I'm going on a class on that next week.
Oh, okay, all right.
Not next week, the week after next.
Okay.
We do have an epidemic, and that's like me growing up. Marijuana, it's marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start hearing a little bit about cocaine. Never did see it, but you'd hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Till now that it's got the opiates, pills, and now it's gone from pills to heroin's coming back because heroin will give you the same high as the pill, but it's a whole lot cheaper, or probably it'll probably kick it up a little bit more.
I got you.
But good chance you're going to OD on it because they're putting a little fentanyl in there and this and that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is locking people up going to stop it? We've been doing that for years. It ain't worked.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like supply and demand. I mean, if there's
People are going to find a
yeah,
way, right?
if there's demand for it,
Yeah.
supply's going to come in.
Yeah. So do you think it, like I said, going back, do you think it's a criminal thing or do you think it's like a mental health thing?
I mean, to me personally, I think it's criminal. I mean, you could fall on, well, it's mental, but a lot of the people that we've dealt with, they didn't have any mental issues until after they got on them.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Because you see all walks of life. I mean, I know a guy that he grew up and his daddy had a business, nice business. His dad's house is probably close to $1 million home. He's worked hard all of his life. Got a son that, I remember when he was 16, the hot car out was the IROC Z Camaro.
All right.
Guess what he had? Nice red one. His first one. And he had stuff handed to him. And now he's in the penitentiary. And ever since he's been 18, in which he's close to 50 now, ever since he's been 18, he's been in and out of the penitentiary. Drugs. Because when he was younger, he wanted to party. And then the crowd he run with, it went from marijuana to cocaine to pills. And he's just, and I look at that and I'm thinking, you threw all that away. I mean, if you'd have been, done what you're supposed to do, work for your daddy, work in the business, you would be over the business. You would be in a $1 million home if you wanted, or you would have what you wanted.
But it all fell apart.
Yeah, and he just, and I know the guy, and he's don't have it. To me, he don't have any mental problems, but
so you'd say it really probably is.
Yeah, I'm thinking
it's just a choice, right? It's not a mental health thing.
I'm thinking it's a choice. Now, some, I'm not saying all.
Right.
Some it could be mental, but most of the time it's going to be choice.
Just more of that. Yeah.
It's
okay.
just people
That's
want
fair.
to party and they, their friends done it. I'm going to try it, and then it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah. 3 more. First one. If there was one thing you could change with your years of experience, what would you change?
I don't know. I've been happy with my career. I worked at Marshall County Sheriff's Department and Lewisburg Police Department, and the only 2 departments I worked at. And I went back and forth. Started out sheriffs, went to the police, come back to the sheriffs, went back to the police, come back to the sheriffs. And probably, if there's anything I could change, sometimes I think back, maybe if I never left the sheriff's department. But then again, I look at the other side of it and think, well,
it's hard to be like, you wouldn't be where you are if you changed it, right?
Because when I went to the police department, I got to go to better end services, and I got some classes.
You learned a little more.
And you work in the police department where you deal more kind of the urban setting. So, I've took things from the sheriff's department and the police department, and I think it's made me who I am. And, but then sometimes I look at it like, if I'd have stayed, I'd have almost 30 years in with this one department. And, my retirement and all that would be just great. And, But
you're happy with all the, you're happy with where you are.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I had to do over, I can't think of anything I'd change.
There wasn't like a point where you're like, all right, that was a misstep, is what you mean.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm pretty happy with everything you've done.
Okay. I think I'm.
Well, that's good. I mean, hey, that's good, right? So, last 2, after you were shot, how did your family feel about you going back out there? Was it tough on them to see you after?
Afterwards. I don't know. I never did. I'm sure it bothered them. But I guess I never did ask them.
I got you. And it wasn't enough where they were confrontational about you going back.
Yeah. They know this is what I've done. I've done this before they were ever born. You know, they grew up into this, and which I never did ask. I mean, Becky knew I was wanting to go back. I think the kids did. I don't think they could see me doing anything else, Nate. I think they were fine with it.
Like you said, they grew up in it and they understood.
Yeah, I think the day that it happened, Bryce and Savannah, they were at school and in Cookville, and they knew I was okay. But still, they come home. You know, we're coming home.
Yeah, for sure.
Want to put eyes on him, and they come home, and then they went back to school the next day in Cookville.
So, last question. What do you feel is the greatest need for your department? Is it more staff? Is it better technology? Is it more cool stuff? I don't. What do you feel? Or do you feel you don't need more?
Yeah, we can always use stuff. You know, it's things that we would need. I mean, our county's small, and so we get what we get, and we're not hurting anything. I mean, I can remember when I first started, and you didn't really have computers, and and now we've got, the deputies have a computer that they can do reports on. And there's always needs. I mean, do we need more people? I always use more people, but do we need them?
Yeah. What about the tech part of it? Do you think there's tech that you guys could be, or maybe someone else has that you wish you had? Or
there's like Lewisburg Police Department. I know they have when they do their reports, it's all online or all on the computer, and it generates it into one place. And I don't want to say day shift takes a report on a burglary, and this was stolen. And then night shift gets called to a location where maybe some of the stuff's been recovered, and they take pictures of it. And when they put it on their network, it attaches to that first officer's report. And then something else happens and that has to do with that, and it automatically attaches.
Gotcha.
So then when an investigator comes in,
it's all right there in that one place.
This is there, and it's, where it's at in the evidence, all this. It's got all this information. And I think from what I understood too, like, I'm thinking, I'm looking at Zach Horvath on something. I wonder if we've ever had any kind of reports. Just put it in there, and then anything that we've had where your name's been mentioned will come up. I wish we had something like that.
Over your career, have you seen things get better, stay the same, like in terms of vehicles or technology? Have you seen things that have been like, okay, I wish we had that before? Or has it been kind of like, all right, it's been about the same?
I've seen things get better. Technology, like I said, we had computers. When I first started, I think there might have been one computer in the whole department, something like that, maybe two. Like the secretary had one to do reports and stuff on, but like deputies didn't have one. You hand wrote all your reports, and we still got some that are, been in it longer than, I don't know nothing about a computer. I'm just gonna handwrite mine. When, my thing is you can, it's got spell check on there, fill in the blanks.
Yeah, there you go.
It's real easy. Technology's gotten better. We've gotten some better cars, but where we used to say we needed to buy 2 cars a year, and our department's grown so much, sometimes we got about 4, 5 cars a year to keep up with cars going out, just because we have more people. Well, then, the taxpayers or whoever, when you say, okay, we need $250,000 for police vehicles every year, why we need so many? Well, it's because we're wearing out. I mean,
yeah. Well, and that's one of those things you want it to be working in great condition, right? Because when you need it, you need it.
And,
so,
it's kind of like our school resource officers. they get all the hand-me-downs because they're at the school. They're not going to be out here patrolling. They try to keep night shift. Probably better vehicles go to night shift just because they're out at night and nobody's about, around. Day shift, some of them got some good cars. Some of them, they look older, but they might not have as many miles.
I got you.
But, if they break down, somebody that's daytime, we can get them some help. We've been fortunate enough with our cars that, you got your maintenance you got to do to them or something happens, this or that. But, and I think we've been getting maybe 4 cars a year.
So y'all are, you've seen it over the years grow in terms of technology and things like that to help you do your job.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, and I mean, we have, there's so many things we look at too, and then we're working on a case, say on theft or something, Craigslist, eBay, Facebook, social media. We look at that stuff too, because, I remember we had something stolen and we knew teenagers stole it, and we found it on social media, with them posting with it. So, I mean, we look at that stuff too, and technology is good. How, we're way up on technology, we're not, we're behind, not as much as some other departments.
Gotcha. That's fair.
I think we've come along to what it used to be when I started.
What do you think is the greatest deterrent for young people to keep them away from criminal activity? Would you say that maybe implementing programs such as DARE would try to help that, or what would you say is the best way to keep young people out of that?
Which I used to do DARE. I used to tell you, I used to be a DARE instructor back years ago, back in '94, I think. Is that going to stop kids? No. Is there a program out there to stop kids? No. It's going to be up to the decisions they make, who they put themselves with.
Right.
If you're a teenager and you see somebody's doing wrong, even though maybe y'all grew up together, but then that person's done started doing things they shouldn't do.
It's knowing that, hey, that's wrong.
Yeah, and it's got to be your decision that, okay, I'm going to go over here and be away from them.
So would you consider that DARE and programs like that help kids see that?
I think so.
Again, it's not going to stop them, right?
Yeah.
But at least...
Because like the DARE program, we got a DARE officer now, Sean Grant, and I think it's his 2nd or 3rd year doing it, and he's really great deputy, and he's really loves doing this. He loves working with kids. Well, the kids that you're working with are 5th graders. Okay, you think back to who you was friends with in fifth grade to who you were friends with your junior year of high school. Friendships change. The people change. Once teenagers get more freedom, you think about how it was when you was in 5th grade versus how it was when you turned 16, and you had a car and you didn't depend on mom and daddy to take you to school or get you to practice.
It opens a whole new world of making your own decisions, right?
Yeah. And, if you got a friend and they want to do, hey, let's do this, and you decide to do that, I mean, it's your decision. I think DARE's good.
Obviously there's no one-all, catch-all going to stop it, but just things like that do help, right?
Right. I think programs help, and
would you say it's just kids need to be aware? It's that's the key of it, because they're going to be the one making the call, right?
Right.
Like, this dude's dealing drugs, I'm going to keep hanging out with him, or things like that.
Put yourself. If you hang out with them,
you need to see the next step.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're friends with this person. What does that mean? Like, what are you going to be doing? When people see you with that person, are they just going to assume, because that's what people do, they're just going to assume that he's a drug dealer too.
Yeah, they're going to associate you with them. It'd be the same thing. maybe you've never sold a drug, you've never done a drug, and you're a great person, but your best friend is a drug dealer, and you're right, you don't really agree with him, but you're riding down the road with him, he gets stopped, and he's got, a pound of marijuana. It ain't mine.
Yeah.
Well, guess who's all going to get charged? Probably everybody in the car.
Yeah. Shoot, that's a great point right there.
But kids, they make their own decisions, and that's what I've always told mine. You make your decision, at your decision.
Yeah, that's it.
If you make a wrong decision,
on you, right?
Hopefully it's a life lesson. But kids, they've got to hold their friends accountable. If they see their friend going down the wrong road, if you're really a good friend with them, tell them, hey, look, the same thing, friends doing drugs, selling drugs, disassociate with them. I mean, it could be hard. Maybe you grew up together. I mean, Chapel Hill's a small community. Kids that you went to preschool with are probably some of the same kids you graduated high school with.
A lot of them, yeah.
And Chapel Hill's growing.
Right.
And it's changed a whole lot since you were in school. But it's still kind of a small community. Everybody knows everybody. And
so that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, you just be with the right people and hold your friends accountable.
Right. All right. Well, thank you for doing this. Great job. Thank you guys for answering our questions or asking questions. I hope we answered them okay, and we'll see you guys later. And that'll do it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know on social media, on Twitter or wherever. Let me know what you guys think about the fan Q&A. I had so much fun doing it, and there were so many good questions. I wonder if you guys like it enough for me to do it more and more. So let me know on Twitter, and follow us at O Nation Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, be sure to share and tell your friends about this if you're enjoying the show. Let's get this in front of as many people as we can. So, with that, maybe, just maybe, detective is the occupation that you've been looking for. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.